Scrat takes it on the breakaway. There's never been a player so tough.
Ice Age collision scores top of the Voyager's box office with a $53.5 million. Ice Age Collision Course does not even hit the USA until next weekend, but the last film in the prehistoric franchise is already doing praise business overseas. The first sequel topped Voyager box office charts, earning a massive $53.5 million from the 35 marks that includes $7.2 million opening in France, $5.9 million launch in Russia, and the $5.2 million debut in the United Kingdom in 3 weeks of release. The film has racked up an impressive $127 million. The Ice Age series has historically been more popular with foreign crowds than the dominant one. The most recent installment, 2012 Cancel Draft, tied the 81.6% of its $8,077.2 million global total overseas, while it's the pre-success 2009 Dawn of the Dancers pick up $77.8 million of the $88.6 million worldwide haul in the foreign markets. The last chapter brings back stars Ray Ramo, John Leguizamo, Dinas Larry, and the Queen Latifah for the more Paleolithic hinges. Family film dominated ticket sales as Destiny and Pixar's Finding Dory shone into second place with the $36.8 million from the 46 markets. The sequel to Finding Nemo opened up in the three new markets, including Mexico, $9.4 million, Japan with $6.3 million, and the Hong Kong with the 1.9 and the Hong Kong with the $1.9 million. Its globally total stand at the $721.7 million. There are still survival foreign markets left to open, such as the United Kingdom at the end of the July and Italy in September. Domestic, it is the highest grossing animated film in history with the $445.5 million. The Legacy of the Tarzan, an expensive attempt to Robert Edgar Rice, brought Pulp Snower Bros finish in third place for the weekend. The adventure film nominated $22 million from the 56th market. It has made $193.7 million globally, which would be a fantastic result if not for its $180 million budget. In fourth place, Lang Stage Now You See Me Too crossed the $200 million market, picking up $17.5 million from the 77 markets. The highest thriller has earned $203.7 million globally. Good War 2, a Hong Kong Chinese action film, rounded out the top 5, pick up $70.3 million to bring its gross $87.5 million. Ice Age collection scores flop in the USA. The fifth installment in Fox and the Blue Sky Studio in creative franchise bomb in its the USA opening, launching in fifth place with the $21.4 million. The film has been lambasted by both critics and the fans, and on and the abysmal 30% citizens rating on Tomatoes. Still deposit its the critical receptions $21 million in an almost incredible stunt launch for what is the considered Fox key animation franchise. The previous lowest opening for an Ice Age film had been Dawn of the Dangerous, which launched with the $41.7 million in 2009. Fox continue to produce the Ice Age film because they are proven money makes, and most of that money comes from the eyesight of the United States. In terms of the global gross, the last two films in series, Ice Age Town of the Dangerous 2009. Fox continue to produce the Ice Age film because they are proven money marks, and most of that money comes from the outside of the United States. In terms of global gross, the last two films in the series, The Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs 2009 and Ice Age Continual Draft 2012, made phenomenal amounts $886.7 million and the $877.2 million respectively. In both cases, an overwhelming majority of the earnings came from the international sales, $77.8 million and the 81.6%. All thought Fox understand that the Ice Age is the more of international franchise than the American. It's unlikely that they anticipated such an the inscrutious American launch for their franchise after it became clear on the Saturday that the new Ice Age would tank in the USA. The film director Mike Triomer's tweet, "Well, that did not go quite like I maintained and added the hashtag. Collision Scores has grossed $177.7 million from the foreign territories. It might be a while before we fully understand the film's international performance, and whatever it will be enough to justify Ice Age 6. Blue Sky is perhaps one of the shortest cars in the USA feature animation industry. While the quality of their animation and the technical craft is beyond reproach, they suffer from the poor decisions making at the top, from the gorgeous sleeping and the epic to the unnecessary CG version of the Pond. The studio and their handle at Fox have not picked material that makes the best USA of the studio talent. Ice Age was no one of the most concept project they had going for them, and now the future of that franchise might be in debut too. In other box office news, The Secret Life of Pets and The Finding Dory both continue. Stiller runs at the USA box office after 2 weeks in It's the Place. Pets was knowing of It's the Privilege of Star the Beyond. Pets scored $29.6 million in its third weekend, lifting in the domestic total $261 million. The Illuminations film, which has not yet opened in most international territories, has a global gross of $324.2 million so far. Pixar Finding Dory found $7.2 million in its sixth domestic weekend, adding to its record-breaking total for the highest USA grossing animated features of all time with the $460.2 million. The film has grossed $782.6 million globally. The franchise animated features Phantom Boy release satisfies by the pick up 3,138 from the two features. The film has grossed $8,907 in the first 2 weeks. The franchise animated features Blam release satisfies by the pick up $3,138 from the theaters. The film has grossed $8,907 in its the first 2 weeks. Ice Age Colonization Course, also called Ice Age 5 Colonization Course or simply Ice Age 5, in a 2016 American animated adventure comedy film and the sequel to the 2012 film Ice Age Continual Draft. It is the fifth installment of the Ice Age series, produced by Blue Sky Studio and distributed by 20th Century Fox. In the film, Scar is the paramour into the outspace in an abandoned spaceship during attempts to bury his son and the accidentally sends a giant attempt towards the Earth. Now the Hat and the Bug must go on a life or death mission to find a way to find it off. The film premiered at the Sunday Film Festival on the 19 June 2016 and was theatrical release in the United States on the 22 July 2016. The film received negative review from the critics and was also considered a box office bomb in the United States, grossing $65 million. The film, however, was more successful overseas with a gross of $3,045 million in the total film, grossed $410 million worldwide against its $105 million budget. The film premiered at the Cindy the festival on the 19 July 2016 and was the theatrical release in the United States on 22 July 2016. The film revealed in negative review from the critics and was also considered a box office bomb in the United States, grossing $65 million. The film, however, was more successful overseas with a gross of $3,045 million. In total, the film grossed $410 million worldwide against its $108 million budget. The film was followed by a spin of the Ice Age Adventure of the Buck Wild in 2022, while a directed sequel, Ice Age Boiling Point, is the scheduled to be released in 2007. Synopsis: Scrat epic pursuits of his elevations, acorn captures his into space, where he accidentally sets off a series of the comic events that the transform and theaters plant Earth to save themselves for the spiral Manny side deco. Accidentally set off a series of the comic events that the transform and theaters plant Earth to save themselves. Many side deco and the rest of the hard level their home and the embark on a quiet film adventure full of the comedy and the excitement while traveling to exotic new landscapes and the encountering a host of the thoughtful new characters. Plot: the film opens use as the usual the Scrat crisis trying to find some place to store his the acorn before the can stick in the ice age. He falls through some ice and into what first seems to be a cave. Scarf put the acorn on a pad that runs on the a giant's flying course. He burst it out. It a presenting proposal for the another sloth named Francis and brought her to the romantic area where they proposed to her with a clamshell that she reject the offer and break up with him. Sai tries to convince her to stay with him included the fact that he planned their futures, their wedding, their 8 kids, and their brutal plots. He even heard a Michael's band. She explained that they have only been on date that had lasted for 10 minutes. Sai tried to coverage her mind, but she said he was too clingy for her. She then plucked sight of her back as he wanted her to give him a plague beak right on her back and walk out. Mystified as she left, Frances told herself she could start dating outside her species. Sight asked him, with his about the Binkle he might, said asks if this was the about the Binky he meets. The film opened as usual with the Scrat trying to find some place to store his the acorn before the can stick in its the rice. He falls through some ice and into what first seems to be a cave. Scar puts the crown on a pad that turns on a giant flying skewers. He breasts it out. Is practicing a proposal for the another sloth named Frances, and her brought her to a romantic area where he proposed to her with a clamshell, but she rejects the offer and break up with him. Sai tried to convince her to stay with him included the fact that planned their futures, their wedding, their 8 kids, and their brutal plots. He even tried to mythical bands. She explained that they have only been on the one date that had lasted 14 minutes. Sai tried to change her mind, but she said was too clunky for her. She then plucked Sad off her back as he wanted her to give him a playback ride on her back and walk out. Despite as she left, Franks told herself she should start dating outside her species. Said a kind of this was about the Binky he met. Pigback right on her back and devoured out. Dissatisfied as she left, Frances told herself she should start dating outside her special side archived. If this was about the picking that made her wear, anyway it was the poison ivy. This made Frances angry and she threw the blinking off screen at Sid's face. Manny talks too. Over Ellie having been acting weird, Manny asks Pico if ever Giggy's Digo glance over his wife, who is focusedly changing a geezer Dago answer that his mate is not a big giggers. Manny finds Ellie and all their other animal friends having organized a party of their anniversary, which many total forget. Friend having organized a party of their anniversary which the many total forget before obvious. Fireworks start going off in the sky which everyone thinks many give to her around this same time. Daligo and the Sierra watch kids play and think of their own kids. They end up scaring a young Edward and young Star. During the party, Julia lets it slip that the and the Peaches will be moving away from the Manny and the Alvy after getting married, even though they believe the two of them would. The two of them would live near them and the neighbors. Moments later, a matter comes feeling toward them all. The animal run for cover as a full-blown matter shower start coming down. The heart runs into a cave and they wait it out. Ice Age charts $53.5 million cost to lead frame. Ghost birds call up $90.1 million in the offshore Bow International box office. Update varying for the second frame in row and the following are sizable expressions. Fox Eyes Collision Scores lead the international studio weekend with a $53.5 million directed by Mikey Thumers. The fifth film in the animated franchise took the total market through 51 this sessions and brought the overseas net to the $127 million. Sony Ghostbusters, the weekend-only major studio new release, kicked off in a relatively small supplement, internationally hinting just 3K markets and a handful of other places. It called up $90.1 million on the 3,900 screen, included $1 million on 105 MX screen. The remark oozed into the UK at number 1 with a $6.1 million opening on 900 screen, giving director Paul Fig is the best star there ever. Australia was also a number 1 debut with the $3.7 million. Sony Ghostbusters, the weekend-only major studio new release, kicked off in a relatively small preprint internationally, hinting just 3K markets and a handful of other places. It called up $90.1 million on the 3,900 screens, included $1 million on 105 MX screens. The remark oozed into the UK at number 1 with a $6.1 million opening on 900 screens, giving director Paul Fig his best star 3 ever. Australia was also a number 1 debut with the $3.7 million on the 493. Ghostbusters take a bigger swing to weekend from now with the Russia and the Italian on the 28 July, followed by more major in the August. In Brazil, GB had a $2.2 million start bet, could not outwins Finding Dory, which held number 1 for the third frame in a row, entertaining new words. Ellen DeGeneres, forgotten for Kramer, not able delve into the Japan and the Mexico route. A $33.5 million wave of the weekend. Disney animated summer style has plenty of the mela ahead with the survival key plays to come on the Dory 1A5 and the Illuminations Universal the screen life of the pets, which is still to unlash in the 57 marks. This frame it held well in the UK where it is number 2 behind Blockbusters. A highlight overseas live action, however, continued to be the long stage Now You See Me Too, which had a strong start in the Korea to take the offshore total past $200 million in China after 4 weeks. It has now conjured $96.5 million. Another counter program, WBS The Conjuring 2, also lifted its overseas comes $200 million this frame. China's summer box office offerings continue to dominate the Middle Kingdom with the local picks holding the 6 top slot in the market for a combined $66.2 million weekend, led by the Cold War 2 with an $87.3 million comes elsewhere in the local title. Salman Khan Sultan is now the number 4 all-time Bollywood. China's summer box office offering continue to dominate the Middle Kingdom with the local picks holding the 6th top spot in the market for a combined $66.2 million weekend, led by the God War 2 with an $87.3 million comes elsewhere in the local titles. Salman Khan Sultan is now the number 4 all-time Bollywood gross worldwide with an estimated 435 crore. $65.4 million. Through the end of its first week, this does not include full weekend numbers for the second frame. The move up to number 3, it will have to best 587 crore, which Amir Khan Dhoom 3 made a compare years ago. Breakdown have been updated below. Sony stuck out English-speaking territories first to kick off the update on the 32 years ago summer smash in much different world that they made $53 million overseas. Pure Fig all-female versions in the premiere to surprise that after a $90.1 million internationally opening this weekend in their majors and some smaller plays, the UK was top with the $6.1 million and filling in the same range as Man in Black 3, Thor and Ninja Mutants Ninja Turtles. In Australia, Ghostbuster was also number 1 with the $3.7 million in its tracking, on par with the MIB3 and the Ant-Man, and ahead of the TMNT by 80%. Brazil opened at the $2.1 million on the 800 screen for the best debut of a fig-directed film, and also for sad Melissa MC Crathy. Other comes included last summer Throwback VFX comedy Pixels, and the Fix team up with the MC Crathy Like the Spa and the Batmans, which also starred Kristen Stewart. Ghost per co-star Kitty MC Con. Review has been strong with a 73% Rotten Tomatoes score dominantly, as with the domestic as the global marketing champion has pulled out Stop and the Poisons. The pick as a global summer tentpole with the comedy, action scales and fun potential efforts with their tele-road to individual market and the revision with stunts that included a ghost matter in the Meredith and the involvement of the Spanish soccer star entry in Thailand, as well as a starry put Marshall Mallow man shooting up from the ground of the London War Tool stations. The latter was the largest station's domination ever attempt in the Europe bigger rail hub and saw the CCTV poles there organized with the slim Villa MC Cop of and the NYC subway stations was also installed. The stunt became a social media trending topic within the host the UK Open in previous on the Monday way. The latter was the large station's domination ever attempt in the Europe bigger rail hub and saw the CCTV poles there Aussie with the slim where a mock NYC subway station was also installed. The stunt became a social media trending topic within the hours. The UK opened in preview on Monday with over 4,000 phones boxes across the country, rebranded with the Who You Gone Call. There were tie-ins during the Euro 2016 score tournament in Germany, Italy, the UK and Russia with spots during K-mates and mobile billboards circle City Square where the game were being broadcast on the large screen. Instant viral video reaches and the audio of 30 million in its the first 48 hours with all national TV news programs saw on the airing up pies. An April Fool prank was rolled out globally a few moments ago with the participations and the cooperation across all Sony divisions in Sony Corp's first ever crop rare prank in announced on the 1 April that the world first ghost catching divide and had been perfect in Singapore, which opened his week in a Genesis World Record was set for the largest gathering of the ghost with hundreds of the people dressing up like the ghost in the film. Both MC Crathy and the Fig were in the attendance. Singapore was the hub for and the Pan-Asian junket and hosted 16 influencers from major markets. Also in Asia for the local Japan's celebrities acted and the ambassadors and the perform a cover of the original song while a slim run obstacle course was the attended by over 2,000 in the Malaysia. Key upcoming markets included Russia and the Italy, 28 July, Germany, 4 August, France, 10 August, Mexico and Spain, 12 August and Japan, 19 August. Leading market share in the 35 off-shower hubs, Fox IA5 cracked $53.5 million from the 50,132 screens in a total 51. The international comes is now $127 million. France led, opening with a $7.2 million from the 8,073 screens. That a good start, if not a great one, but giving the tragic events in the Nicel on the Tuesday night local, the box office was expected to see some impact. Russia kick off at the number 1 with the $5.9 million on the 1,236 screens, and the UK bow was good for the number 2 behind Ghostbuster with a $5.2 million at 1,107 dates included preview. However, Secret Life of Pets in climbing number 2 for the FSS India was also a new play and took the top MPA slot with the biggest now holiday animated opening ever, $1.66 million. That the market is currently dominated by Salman Khan, Smash Sultan. In halts now the European scores is over and Hollywood are in fall swimming. Germany rose 24% for the $3.4 million at the weekend and the comes of the $30.3 million. Brazil dipped to 36.4 and the $11.4 million. Clyde lifted 7% to take the comes to $4.5 million in the Argentina IA5 has the biggest ever second weekend for Fox in the market and the third industry best. That the total there is $7.7 million. The current top markets is Mexico with the $90.7 million. Korea and Taiwan are on deck for the Scrat, Manny, Sid and Buck next weekend, followed by Hong Kong, Indonesia and the Poland the following frame. Italy open 22 August with the China the next day. In her fifth weekend in overseas whatevers, the Blue Tank and Plus up a futures $33.5 million to take the international comes to $276.2 million and the global total to $721.7 million. There were big market debut in Mexico, Japan and Hong Kong, which contributed to a week-on-week increase of the 80% on to take the total number of the off-shower hubs to 45. Mexico give the Andrew Stevens Ham sequel a $9.4 million start for the second biggest Destiny animation of the Pixar opening of all time. Mexico also instantly joined the top 10 overseas market of the Dory, which has fully 6 weeks of the summer vacation to pull in kids and the families. In Japan, she had 2-a-day weekend with the $6.3 million on the set sun. It the top westerns released for the frame and the open 63% above Inside Out at the open. Tomorrow is a national holiday 3 in the Hong Kong $1.9 million worth of the fans turned up at the asteroid for the number 1 western title and the fourth biggest animated opener ever. In Hot Story saw a 32% drop in the Europe. In the Belgium she was up plus 27% deposit. The ongoing upset in the France, there was only a 25% drop there. In the Netherlands, Dory held the number 1 spot for the third convention weekend. Family-friendly Latin America as a region has grossed $80.5 million with the Brazil the standout $23.7 million. Dory and the Co are the number 1 movie for 3 weekends in a row and the biggest Destiny animation or Pixar release of all time. Elsewhere, Australia has now posted 33% for the biggest grossing Destiny animation or the Pixar release ever and the number 2 highest grossing industry animated release behind Shrek 2. Dory China run climbs with the $38.3 million. That's still the top US market with the UK and the Germany still on the deck. The Legend of the Tarzans, Italy, the Nordia and the completions of the Europe 2016 scores action helped the Warner Bros. Big swing to the another $22 million on the 8,600 screens in the 55 markets. The international total for the update on the Edgar Rice Burroughs classic characters in the $90.6 million. Italy pound out a number 1 star at the $1.6 million on the 550 screens, while the Nodias generated a collective $4.5 million star. Alexander Skarsgård hails from the Sweden and did a local professional push there which helped the market apps out to a $2.2 million start on the 283 screens. Deposit the target in Nice at the beginning of the weekend. France dropped just the 4% on the film as Fox South escape distributions. The comes there is $6.3 million. The lead markets is the Mexico are $9.3 million, followed by the UK and the $8.8 million. Russia with the $7.6 million. France, Australia and the Korea. Tarzan gets a special treat his week when he swing into a real July Slot for a Hollywood film in the China on the Tuesday. Brazil and Spain also opened this week. A strong start in Korea helped push Lying Stage Hell sequel over the $200 million milestone internationally. In total, the weekend pulled $17.5 million from the 77 markets for and the offshore total of the $203.7 million. Most the Europeans major have yet to how in a crowded Korean frame. The Horseman drew to the $12.5 million included previous and a number one in local currency. The bow is 89% above the original film. In China, the film is now at $96.5 million after 4 weeks that the take its the past Batman v Superman to become the Lucky 13 top grossing title of 2016. Mexico and Spain are on deck for the Friday opening in Helmer Ronald, American native Germany. Fox IDR landed a $6.3 million start for the fifth best bow of 2016. The total weekend was the $60.2 million from the 7,605 screen in the 55 markets. That brings the offshore innovations of the $239.2 million. Japan had a very good haul with the $3.3 million from the 965 screen. For a $40 million comes local, the not so out of this world. Weekend was the $60.2 million from the 7,605 screen in the 55 markets. That brings the offshore innovations to $239.2 million. Japan had a very good hold with the $3.3 million 965 screen. For a $40 million comes luckily the not so out of this world. China run has now completed with the $73.2 million next week. Notable at France. From New Line and the Universal The Den Away John's comedy depleted another $10 million in the 54 territories. That takes the international total to a solid $63 million. There were 7 new openings in the frame included number 1 in 11 the UAE and the other Middle East markets, Taiwan, Hong Kong and the Italy also bow. In the latter, the peak is running ahead of the most compass and has little competitions ahead. The top offshore markets are now Australia at the $10 million, in the UK are $9.3 million, Germany at the $6.8 million. There are 9 more to go. The international weekend estimate for this new entry in the Elevations Universal Canon is the $4.4 million in 9 territories. There were no new opening this frame as the animated comedy continue roll out in the 57 more markets over the next few months. The offshore total in the $50.8 million for a worldwide total of the $254 million. The UK sketch Pat's Belly with a number 2 third frame and the $2.8 million 524 dates. The comes there is the tall biggest $34.9 million and the packing above Zootopia over the same amount of release days. Origins, Chile and the Colombia will set up in the next week. An excellent 39% drop graded for the Warner Bros. Trajectory for an estimated $7.2 million in the 55 markets. After 7 sessions of release, the offshore total in now $1,106 million. The film has been solid counter-programming in a summer crowded with the sequel and the coxer. It will play out over the coming weeks before it hits Italian and the 1 September. Brazil leads at the $50.7 million followed by the UK with the $30.4 million and the Germany at $12.6 million. Taking the international comes over the $150 million Paramount sequel Survive, up $4.2 million this frame in the 26 market. The total in the $150 million. This was the third session for the heroes on their half shell in the China, where the run is falling out off with a $2.1 million gross at the 2,000 seats. For a $56.7 million comes deposit local investment from the Allah bill. It would be a square for the TMNT2 to catch up to first pick in the rebooted franchise Middle Kingdom run, which topped out at just over $62.1 million, was one of the two Hollywood titles to the screw a July release in the China, but that title's Paramount sequel served up $4.2 million. This frame is the 26th market. The total is the $150.3 million. This was the third session for the heroes on the half shell in China, where the run is the falling off with $2.1 million gross at 2,000 seats for a $56.7 million comes deposit local investment. It would be a square from to catch up to the first pick in the rebooted franchise Middle Kingdom run, which topped out at just over the $62.1 million, was one of the two Hollywood titles to screw a July release in China, but that little bite of the grace from the process is still accepted to be overshadowed by a month that sees the baby of the local film take over screen, included this weekend winner here. Good War 2 elsewhere grossed 412K at the 349 cinema in Italy for the total $1.5 million after the show more run in France added 585K at the 600 location for a total $4.9 million. Germany and Japan are still to out next month. In a big milestone, the Warner sequel has hit $200 million internationally, working as another example of the summer counter-programming for the studio. The pick added $3.9 million in the 600 markets this weekend. Mexico leads at the $20.3 million, followed by the UK and the $50 million, and Korea with the $30.5 million. The last entry in the Blumhouse Platinum Dunes franchise put $3.6 million in the bailout box this weekend for an early international total of $7.2 million. There were 7 new candidates in the frame, with the better than the accepted opening Spain Open number 2 with the 797 key at the 240 dates, and the Antian was number 3 with the 752 key at the 100 number 3 with the 752 key at the number 100 dates. Both market the biggest bow for the series in the respective markets. Malaysia, Singapore and the Thailand also had good start in the 24 territories where it has been unmasked. Elevation here is the outpicking the pure lifetime, the pure arranged $33 million lifetime rollout with the continue over the next few months. In its the third overseas film, Steven Spielberg's BFG scooped up $2.9 million in the 5 territories where Destiny is releasing. The international comes in $7.5 million for the global total of the $64.4 million. While not a giant strength for the folk involved, BFG is the finding some strength in the Australia where it dropped 43% this weekend. Argenta was new this frame, kicking off with the 8000K. There are the survival major to the comes included family-friendly Brazil and the Mexico along with the Korea and Japan. Destiny Alaka though the Looking Glass had a date with the $2.6 million for the frame in 22 territories. The offshore total has now grossed $200 million with the $200.4 million to date, and the Korea on neck in September. The global comes has reached $276.7 million. Fox comedy Hold Ever, Mike and the Dev Need wedding date pick up $2.1 million in the 21 markets. The international total is now $7 million. Australia Korea on deck in September. The global comes has researched $276.7 million. Fox comedy Hold Ever, Mike and the Dev Need wedding dates pick up $2.1 million in 21 markets. The international total is now $7 million. Australia dip 41% from the open for a total $3.7 million. More investigation go out in the 10 markets 2 weeks from now, included Brazil and the Holland, before taking the Bali to Helvan next week. Pasty and the Edina has been slashing it up in the UK with a 70 days $7.9 million on the absolutely fabulous. The movie The Frame added $1.6 million on 723 screen. Warcraft odds at odd another $1 million in the 53 overseas market. This frame from a universal total of the $164.2 million combined with the domestic and the China gross. The comes is now $432.2 million. Ice Age movie ranked by box office gross. A narratic, sequel cashing entry in the shell of an iconic shattered, a chain of the prehistoric jaw that the suffered misfit mammals through the mathematics, marginations and the cold-hearted charm of a series that made expectations feel oddly comforting. The Ice Age franchise turned extension into entertainment, tampering and times parallel with Hammer and the kind of the visual bereaved that the British bedtime stories and box office. The original Ice Age film was released in 2002 as Blue Sky Studio first full-length features. The film followed Manny the woolly mem inside the sloth and taken the cyber-tooth diggers as the cybles and they stumble through the pilestones determined to return a lost human infant, rushing to the warmth of the tribe. The premier focused on the survival during the Pleistonic Purge, drawing comedy from the national disasters, hard politicals, and the constant miscommunication that state there usually aligns. The original film's success lie a thesis that set off a franchise avalanche, spelling into multiple sequels, short film, holiday specials, and video game adaptations. The franchise has the snowball into five theatrical features, survival shot from the spin-off, a streaming series, and a sixth installment currently in the production. Ice Age 6 has been shouted for release on the 18 December 2026, with the most of the principal voice cast returning today. The Ice Age franchise has generated 6 billion in reveal, making it one of the highest grossing animated franchises of all time. Here is a full breakdown of the Ice Age movie, ranked by their box office muscles, from the modest return to the monument-sized The Hall. The first Ice Age film unheard audience into a periodic odyssey where the snowstorms, avalanche, and the movie glistening from the backdrop as three Yuji campaigns undertook the task of delivering a lost infant back to his tribe. Many the woolly moments, sighed the sloth, and the Deco the saber-tooth tiger guided the story through the disputes, moments of the slapstick humor and the fragile elements, with their relationship surviving as the emotional core. By playing Manny with the Reno, side with the John Leguizamo, and the Deco with the Dines Larry, the film's care vocal performance that the crystallized character identity with the tone and the timing. The film struck a balance between laughter and the danger, threading improvisations through its the dialogues to the hygiene humor while keeping the story clear and the approachable. The now iconic cave painting sequence, which relieved many film tragedy, brought unexpected gravity and set his private sorrow against the growing bond with the Russian Ice Age established the franchise's visual identity with the frozen distance painted in the pale blue and the Harris witness offset by the better to survive characters. The now iconic safe painting sequence, which revealed many family tragedy, brought unexpected gravity and set his private sorrow against the growing bond with the Russians. Ice Age established the French's visual identity with fluorescent distance painted in the pale blues and hair's whiteness offset by the Peters. He survived characters designed that the balance crave kitchen with the warm The film received critical recognition, included an Academy Award, nominated for the Best Animation Features, though the prize ultimately went to the Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. At the box office, Ice Age finished its domestic run with the $176 million in the United States and the Canada and added $2,007 million in international markets. It generated $3,083 million worldwide, which brought Blue Sky Studio into industry recognized and the launch a decade-long franchise. Ice Age collection scores pushed the prehistoric saga into the most cyanotic territory, opening with the scar pursuit of and the acorn that the accidentally propel him into the outspace. The storyline follows Manny side Deco and their extended families as they scramble to survive a meteor strike threatening Earth, though the plot spreads itself thin over and the overcrowded cast of the characters. The main Troy reside into the backdrop. While Never Faces received little development or purpose, Simon Pegg returned as the Bug, reprising his role from the Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, offering comic energy that gave the film flashes of the moments. The man Taro research into the background. While Never Faces received little development or purpose, Simon Page returns as the Bug, reprising his role from the Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, offering comic energy that gave the film flashes of the moments. Visual design trained the icy landscapes and the vibrant preset animal models that the series had been known for, but written landed heavily on the slapstick and the spectacle. Many reviews describe Collision Scores as a studio effort engineered to trade on the franchise name, rather than the narrative ambition which generated whisper complaints about the recycled humor and the straight plotting as the franchise's last theatrical outsting. It the source that since that the saga had run out of the creative stream, Ice Age Collision Course grossed $64 million in the North America and the $344 million in the other territories, for a worldwide total of the $408.5 million against a $105 million budget. Arriving 4 years after the first film Ice Age, the meltdown moved from the force to blood, sending many side Deco and the new campaigns scrambling to escape a falling ice dam. Many comfort his fear of the extinctions when he met Ellie, a female mammoth voiced by the Queen Laufey, who believed herself to be an Opsum and travel with her the energetic adaptations, Brother Crash and the Eddie. The sequel dropped comedy over the cast drops, constoring the spectacle of the Colosseum Glacier with the sympathetic actors as the new characters gave the tale more breadth, while the craft acorn obsessions deliver a Looney Tunes styles frenzy that dominated audience attention. A larger production budget than the 2002 original enabled improvement in visual design, included richer texture and more experienced characters animation. Critics point out that the Deco characters suffer from the minimal development, a problem that presents in later films. But the film cocktail of the paraspletic and family themes secured its success at the box office. Ice Age Meltdown opened with a $68 million in its first weekend. It eventually grossed $195 million. Criticized opening out their Deco characters suffer from the minimal development, a problem that presents in later films, but the film cocktail of the paraspletic and family themes secured its success at the box office. Ice Age Meltdown opened with a $68 million in first weekend. It eventually grossed $195 million in the United States, Canada, and $472 million in other territories, for a global total of the $667 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing animation film of 2006. The ensemble grew with the elevations of the Predators under the command of the gut voice by the Peter Dinklage. The film's most notable new characters, the narrative blend of the expressions and the renew, yet the conflict setting left much of the runtime without the moments with jokes often used to the fill absence of the story. Visual, the water effects reflected the studio evidence technology, but the creative spark of the earlier installment had started to fade. Released in 3D, the film noted the franchise into its the fourth theatrical outing and thus stand its the reputation as a reliable family draw, though sign of the world were begins to show. With the $161 million earned in the United States and Canada and the $760 million from the overseas market Ice Age. Released in 3D, the film muted the franchise into its the fourth theatrical outing and thus stand its the reputation as a reliable family drop. Though the sign of the world were beings to show, with the $161 million earned in the United States and Canada and $760 million from the overseas market. Ice Age conventional draft reached or the worldwide total of the $877 million against a budget of $95 million. Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, stated the saga into the uncharted ground, unleashing prehistoric giants that had until then been excluded from the earlier installment when the original film was in development. The creative them consolidated with the panel alongside to keep the story tethered to its area, and one clear piece of advice they received was to avoid included dinosaurs. By the third film that the coaching was set aside and the dinosaurs were introduced into the series. Dinosaurs have always sparked fashions among younger viewers, and their arrival in the Ice Age series brought a rewanted spans of the spectacle. The substance jungle offered vivid new environments teeming with the craving reptiles and the violence hazards, with the dinosaurs designed were the excreted enough to capture a comic tone without the losing their sense of the scale. The plot being with the site attempting to raise their eggs as him on, only to be carried off by their mother into the depth of their underground domain. Manny, Digo, and the Ellie follow in the pursuit, only to encounter a low-seas territory ruled by the predators, and the film also welcomed back and one-eyed. The plot begins with the site attempting to raise three eggs as his own, only to be carried off by their mother into the depth of his underground domain. Manny, Rigo, and the Ellie follow in the pursuit, only to encounter a low-seas territory ruled by the predator. The film also welcomed back a one-eyed weasel voiced by the Simon Pig, was the encountered brave, turn him into the standout addition to the cast. All thought the film being of a luster piece, the plunging into the discourse world accelerates the moments, creating a sequel of the danger and the humor that paired off the commercial Ice Age. Dawn of the Dangerous earned $196.6 million in the North America and the $690.1 million in the other territories, for a worldwide total of the $886.7 million against its $90 million budget, making it the highest-grossing animated film of 2009 and the highest-grossing Ice Age movie. Ice Age collision costs in $53 million internationally weekend. Update: the hall boasted the runtime total of the Ice Age collision cost to the $126.7 million after the weekend and the secured number one slot in the 35 markets. France led the way on $7 million from the 873 screens, a solid debut in what turned out to be a more robust market than the accepted in the wake of the last week deadly Bastille Day attack in the Nice. Russia also delivered a number one results on the $5.8 million of the 1236, while the UK launched reported at number 2 on the $5.1 million from the 845 from the internationally. Scott its biggest second weekend in the irrigations and the industry third biggest second weekend, where the $2.8 million from the 378 elevated the tally to the $8.1 million follow a 32% drop. A $1.7 million debut from the 977 in India ranked third for the industry biggest non-holiday animation launch had executed that of the Ice Age 130%. Ice Age Glaciation course debut top in the Spain on the $1.5 million from the 837 and opened at the number 1 in the Turkey, where deposit nationwide untracked causes by the fail cop it the managed 5046 500 170 from the 551. Mexico has generated $90.7 million and the Germany $30.4 million after 3 sessions each. Brazil $11.5 million after 2 and the Australia $7.9 million after 3. Independence Days. Resources grossed a future of $60.6 million from the 73 and the suggest to the $239.8 million led by a $6.4 million number of the homecoming for director Ronald Emmerich on the 1,134 screens that delivered the fifth biggest launch of the 2016 so far. The apocalyptic sci-fi has the Richard $60.6 million after 4 weekends in the UK. The quintessentially British comedy Absolutely Fabulous, the movie climbed to the $7.9 million in the UK after a $1.6 million haul from the third sessions, while Mike and the Dave Need wedding dates added $2.2 million from 21 for $7.2 million after 2 weekends and the stand at the $3.7 million in the Australia. Walt Disney Studio Moments Pictures International. Pixar Finding Dory added $38 million in its fifth weekend for the $277.8 million from the 45 territories. Overall, the animation has grossed $723.5 million worldwide, of which $445.5 million comes from the North America. China led the way on the $38.3 million with the roughly 80% of the international area. Now the attractive, followed by Australia on the $33.7 million, Brazil on $23.7 million, France on $60.8 million, Spain on $50.6 million, and the Russia on $9.1 million. Argentina has produced $14.4 million and the South Korea an estimated $12.5 million. The film scored a $9.6 million debut in the Mexico for the second highest Disney animation or Pixar opening of all time behind Toy Story 3 with the 6 weeks of the summer holidays to the large crave. Finding Dory arrived in Japan on $7.1 million stated and the Sunday ahead of the Monday national holiday, and the debut in the Hong Kong on $2.8 million included preview. In Brazil, the film stayed top for the third convention session that they rank as the biggest $6 billion movie franchise with the dismal R-rated record has its first review in pre-become global Netflix hit. Ice Age Glaciation Scores has become a global Netflix hit, Deposit being the roast review movie in the animated franchise between box office much distancing and the other, considering the Ice Age franchise has entered more than $6 million. However, only the first movie has been rated French on the Rotten Tomatoes, earning a 77 million scores, while the follow-ups The Meltdown 56% down of the Dinosaurs 46%, Conventional Draft, Colonization Course 80% and The Buck Wild have realistic in the trend of the of the progressively dissembled citizen source. Netflix has now universal there the official chart of the top 10 most viewed English laughter movie for the week of the May 22 May 26 alongside Dan of the Dan Source at the number 3 Ice Age Collision Scores has landed at the number 7 thanks to the 7.2 million store viewers amusing a total of the $11.7 million horse view. This has been the cause in the speech of the fact that movie is not even available in the United States, one of the streaming surviving primary terrorists. Could the Ice Age franchise turn around after this the Netflix success? The Ice Age movie are not exactly having trouble connecting with the audience even as they premiere at the box office alone. The series has become the 22nd highest grossing movie franchise in history, outraking franchises included The Hobbit, Godzilla, Superman, and the Sony Marvel Universe. However, this global Netflix success could help reveal a trend of the diminishing returns that has the awkward since the franchise peak. With its third installment, below sees a breakdown of the franchise box office history. After the franchise shadowed just a slight leap in the fourth installment, Collision Course, which boasted the biggest budget yet, crashed and they earned less than half the gross of the previous movie. This may be one of the reasons that the 2022 spin-off movie The Ice Age Adventure of the Buckwild was released directly to streaming on the Disney Plus. However, other factors included recent worldwide theatrical shutdowns amid the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that the movie was originally developed as a television show. Regardless of the prevention of the 2022 title, the franchise has not had a theatrical installment in the nearly a decade, mostly like because of the disappointing performance of the Ice Age Collision Course. However, the resources in the interest in the movie on streaming could potentially train less to entertain in a new theatrical installment as well. This could push the possible Ice Age 7 closer to finish because while it was the seemingly revealed to be in the pre-production on a Destiny PR page in the early 2020, it still has not been officially announced. Regardless of the provenance of the 2022 title, the franchise has not had a theatrical installment in nearly a decade, most likely because of the disappointing performance of the Ice Age Collision Course. However, the resources in installment in the movie on streaming could potentially translate to interest in a new theatrical installment as well. This could push the possible Ice Age 7 closer to fruition because while it was seemingly revealed to be in pre-production on Destiny PR page in the early 2020, it still has not been officially announced. Ice Age Collision Scores. Real sins take as much of the beating as Scrat, everyone favorites sadomasochistic rodent in the Ice Age Collision Course, so much so filmmakers behind these fifth characters, Jamie and the decidedly jumble outing in the Glacier animated franchise felt the need to the recraft astroskist Neil deGrasse Tyson's both as a narrative and is the vessel guide complete with his the trademark corner of their soul of teddy bear eyes and the facial fuzz to explain how our solar system came into existence. We are told there is a deeper reason than usually believed, and that is where a certain calamity prone survival rat comes in the sky, bootless ping pongs about the galaxy like a bushy tailed, fang toothed version of the Sandra Block in the gravity after his the ever elvish acorn causes him to the captures into the out corner space abroad and the Elena craft. As a result, the planets collide into the one another like brilliant balls, with he leaves a trail of the comic chow in his frantic wake, while once more enjoining in his the spy pin pursuit of his the previous net as in often the case with the Ice Age movie, the Jerry Bell, mascot of the Blue Sky Studio, would relax such physically adroit slyly. As is often the case with the Ice Age movie, the Jerry Bell, mascot of the Blue Sky Studio, who recycles such the physical adored silent star of the Euro as the Buster Keatons and the Head Lord, loyal as if directed by Tex, everyone continue to be the highlight of these commercial return to the prehistoric area. He is a constant who never give up, never learn and never achieve his goal, and the animation continue to take brave delight in the connecting new invention ways to torture him, even giving him a con a bit more anthropomorphic presence than the usual. This time Scrap is also the catalyst from the rest of the table by the eventually causing a granted. For the rest of the tale boy eventually causing a granted flaming asteroid to the hunter towards the earth that could possibly destroy the entire world, but that Christopher is put on the back banner for a while as the members of the series so-called hell put in their appearance. Ray Roman once again more or lessly lumber his the way, though the minimal anti as the many the worldwide movement, his the current impulse is as old as time itself, or at least TV First Family sitcom. He does not think he's the happy-go-lucky on-in-law to be. For the daughter Peaches, Kiki Plummer. As for Side the Sloth, who sloppily lies, is one again provided by the John. He is the heartbroken after the Frenchies. He is the jealousy girl's crush rejected his marriage proposal, one that arrived just 14 minutes into their first date. She added insult to injury by the nothing. You look nothing like your profile pic. She meanwhile, and the Jennifer Lopes and the Granted the Lamb storyline as the spare tooth, Tiger Tigo and maid Shera feared that they might not be able to have children since their France appearance tended to scare kids. Really, would not their spa to be equally frightening? Clearly, the marks of the Ice Age series are running out of the ideas for the Mantero. They are have to maintain the resorting heartful. Clearly, the marks of the Ice Age series are the running out of the ideas for the main tarot. They have to maintain to resorting heartfelt premiere. You did not I have to be related or even the same species to be a family that is the primarily responsible from the previous four fleet crossing and the astonishing 2.8 billion worldwide total, but the colonization scores attempts to solo its sequel fatting by the giving more screen time to side characters from the previous chapter and the promoting bright which Simon Pack hyperpathy one-eyed shadow building weasel back into a breakout status as he and a terror of the Nerfins flag dinosaurs escape from the lost world featured in the third Ice Age film. Not only does Buck from the bring an incident craft column that he holds the key to hitting the asteroid, but he pulls a catty MC non. Here in the ordnance department, the impish grossbuster is probably kicking herself that the never thought of the toting a pit pumpkin around in a baby bourgeons or the launching into the Figaro area from the barber of this field in a robber performance worth of the print size pre-write. Other distractions that the offer-wearing leaves of the assumptions arrive in the form of the goofy, obscene Scratch and the Eatles, the type of Kiki when they say the word duty, and said, "Fisty Granny, who is the gift to such obsession as that the plan is so dumb, I wish it had a face so I could." Other distributions that the offering variety leaves of the assumptions arrive in the form of the goofy, opposition crush and the idols, and the type of the giggle when they say the word duty and cites Fisty Granny who is giving to such obsession as that the plane is so dumb I wish it had a face so I could smash it. but that appears to be anything goes psychological when it comes to the narrative. Suddenly, take a nut at the gross section of the incense and the premieres when he arrival in the Gotia, a happy-dippy domain of the parental youth, maintained by the presence of the magic crystals, which are the key to stopping the asteroid, probably the weirdest conception in the Sagar's lemma. Conception in the Sangri-Lamma. But what appears to be an anything goes psychological when it comes to the narrative. Suddenly take a trance at the cross section of the incense and the premiums when he arrived in the Yetpia, a hippy-dippy domains of the prepatal youth, maintained by the presence of the magic crystals, which are the key to stopping the astronaut. Probably the weirdest conception is the Sanctuary lemma. Apparently, there now is a lemma that at least one major that members from the modern family is required to be a voice in every animated film this summer. The spiritual lead of the tribe of the Yogo, who executed the splitting powers of a major leg, picture as he presents over his the tribe, don't be distributed by the eye-pleasing proposal and the lavender hues. Don't be directed by eyes-pleasing proposal and the lavender hues that have been added to the typical chili color platter. This plot is as disjointed as a sound. You have got scarf as a reclant, a pending branding, a possibly apocalyptic disaster visitor from the another prehistoric era. It's almost as if the writers were simply using ideas left over from the other Ice Age script that are about as fresh as the wind bent side flash to quite one of the solid Pickham's lines. It also is a single that the concept exhibition date is about to expire, but I hope Kraft never end his impossible quest to possible his acorn, whatever in another former or just in my imagination. 6 billion movie franchise with the dismal RT record has its worst review entry become global Netflix hit. Ice Age Colonization Scores has become a global Netflix hit deposit, being the roast review movie in the animated franchise between box office merchant distinct and the other. Considering the Ice Age franchise has entered more than $6 billion. However, only the first movie has been rated fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, earning a 77% score, while the follow-up, The Mild Down, Den of the Dinosaurs, Cantonal Draft, collision scores 80% and the backward 90% has resulted in a trend of the progressively dismal critic scores. Netflix has now unbelievable their official chart of the top 10 view English language movie for the week of May 20 through May 26 alongside Dawn of the Dinosaurs at number 3. Ice Age collision scores has landed at the number 7 thanks to 7.2 million visitors, amusing a total of the 11.7 million horse view. This has been the case in spite of the fact that movie is not even available in the United States, one of the streaming service primary terrorists. Could the Ice Age franchise turn around after this? The Netflix 6. The Ice Age movie are not exactly having trouble connecting with the audience. Even as the premiere at the box office alone, the series has become the second highest grossing movie franchise in history. Outranking franchises included The Hobbit, Godzilla, Superman, and the Sony Marvel Universe. However, this global Netflix success could help reveal a trend of the diminishing returns that has the occurred since the franchise peak, with its third installment. Below seem a breakdown of the franchise box office history. After the franchise showed just a slight dip in its the fourth installment, collision scores, which posted the biggest budget yet, crashed and they earned less than the half the gross of the previous movie. This may be one of the reasons that the 2022 spin-off movie The Ice Age Adventure of the Backfired was released directly to streaming on Disney Plus. However, other factors included recent worldwide theatrical shutdowns amid the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that the movie was originally developed as a television show. Regardless of the province of 2022 title, the franchise has not had a theatrical installment in nearly a decade, mostly likely because of the a theatrical installment in nearly a decade, most like because of the disappointing performance of the Ice Age Classification scores. However, the revenge in re-revenge resurgence in instant in the movie on streaming could potentially translate to insert in a new theatrical installment as well. This could push the possible Ice Age 7 closer to frustrations because while it was seemingly revealed to be in the pre-production on a Destiny PR page in the early 2020, it still has not been officially announced. Regardless of the province of 2022 title, the franchise has not had a theatrical installment in nearly a decade, most like because of the disappointing performance of the Ice Age Classification scores. However, the resurgence in interest in the movie on streaming could potentially translate to interest in a new theatrical installment as well. This could push the possible Ice Age 7 closer to the frustrations because while it was seemingly revealed to be in pre-production on a Destiny PR page in the early 2020, it still has not been officially announced. Ice Age Classification scores. Real sins take as much of the beating as Secret, everyone favorite sadomasochistic redneck in the Ice Age Classification score, so much so the filmmaker behind this fifth character's drama and decidedly jumbled outing in the glacial animated franchise felt the need to recruit astrophysics Neil deGrasse Tyson both as a narrative and in the weasel guise, complete with his the trademark corner of hair, soulful teddy bear eyes, and the official first to explain how our solar system came into existence. We are told there is a damper reason than is usually believed, and then it for a certainly climate prone circular rate comes in. We are told there is a dumber reason that is the usually belief, and that is where a certain climate prone viral rat comes in. Secret wordlessly ping pongs about the galaxy like a bushy tailed fang-toothed version of the Sandra Bullock in the gravity after his ever elvish acorn causes him to decapit into outer space about and the alien craft. As a result, the planning collide into one another like the brilliant box, while he lives a tale of the comic chow in his the frantic walk while once more engineering in his task of comic chow in his frantic walk away once more engaging in his the spy-pin pursuit of his the precious net, as is often the case with the Ice Age movie. Jitterly for Ball, mascot of the Blue Sky Studio, who recalls such physically adored silent start of the year as the Booster Kittens and the Harlot, loyal as if the directed by the Tex Airy, continue to be the highlight. As is one often the case with the Ice Age movie, Jerry Forbes, mascot of the Blue Sky Studio, who recalls such physical adorite silent star of the Euro as the Boosters Kittens and the Harlot, Lloyd as if directed by Tex, everyone continue to be the highlight of these comical returns to the pre-Cytok area. He is a constant who never gives up, never learns, and never achieves his goal, and the animators continue to take preserved delight in the coaching's new invention ways to torture him, even giving his acorn a bite more anthropomorphic presence than the usual. This time, Scar is also catalyst for the rest of the tale by independently causing a granted for the rest of the tale by the inventory causing a granted flaming asteroid to the hurtles toward Earth that could possibly destroy the interior world, but that the cast drop is put on the back burner for a while as the member of the series so-called hard put in their appearance. Ray Roman once again Ray Roman once again morsely number this way through the mammalian antis as many the Volimo. Dalem is as old as time itself, or at least Stevie Fur's family. Skitum he does not think his happy-go-lucky son-in-law to be. Julia is good enough for the daughter Peaches. Whose lovely lips is one again provided by the John. He is the heartbroken after Frenchies. His Jerry girl crush reject his the marriage proposal once that they arrived at 40 minutes into their first date. She added insult to Jerry by the nothing. You look nothing like your profile pic. Dance Larry and the Jennifer Lopes are the granted the lamb storyline as the saber-tooth tiger Deco and the Metashira fret that they might not be able to have children since their Frizz appearance tends to scar. Kid really would not dare spa be equally frightening. Clearly, the remark of the Ice Age series are running out of audio for the main draw. They have to maintain the resorting heartfelt. Clearly, the mark of the Ice Age series are running out of the idea for the main trio. They have to maintain the resorting heartfelt premiere. You did not have to be related or even same space to be a family that is the primarily responsible from the previous for fleet crossing and the astonishing 2.8 billion worldwide total, but the acquisition scores attempts to slow its sequel fatting by the giving more screen time to side characters from the previous chapter and the promoting bride with the semen peak hyperactive once-eyed shadow bucking weasels back into a breakout status as he and a terror of the nefarious flying dinosaurs escape from the lost world features in the third Ice Age film. Not only does Buck coming bring and the Asians craft column that he holds the key to halting the asteroid, but he pulls a cat MC clone here in the Whiteness department. The impacts Globebuster is probably kicking herself that she never thought of the nothing upbeat pumpkin around in a baby burgeons or lurching into the figures area from the barber of the survival in a robust performance worthy of the print size paranoid. Other distractions that the overriding level of the assumption's arrival in the form of the goofy obscene crash and the adults. The type who geeky when they say the word duty and sight. Pretesty Gana who is give to such observation as that the plan is do some. I wish it had a face so I could smash it. But what appear to be an anything goes psychological when it comes to the narrative suddenly take a turn at the cross section of the incense and the premiere. When we arrive in the Geotopia, a high-PDP domain of the prepital youth, maintained by the presence of the magic crystals, which are the key to stopping the asteroid. Probably the Western's connection is the Saring Glanma. But what appeared to be an anything goes psychological when it comes to the narrative suddenly takes a turn at the cross sections of the incense and the premiers. When we arrive in the Geotopia, a hippy-dippy domain of the pre-petals youth maintained by the presence of the magic crystals, which are the key to stopping the asteroid. Probably we raised connection is the Sangri-Lalma. Apparently there now is a law that at least one major cast member from the modern family is required to be a voice in every animated film this summer. The spiritual leader of this tribe of the Yogo, enthusiastic, who exhibited the speech power of a major legal picture as he presents over his tribe. Don't be distributed by the eye-pleasing purple and the lavender hose that have been added to the typical jelly color plate. This plot is a disjointed as it's the sound. You have got Scrat as a reclanted astronaut, a panting vending a possible apocalyptic disaster. Wisdom from the another precinct area and the 60s styles, flower children. It's almost as if the writers were the simply using idea left over from the other ice age. Scripts that are about as fresh as the wind panther. Side flash to quite one of the sloth picking lines. It also is a single that the concept exacting date is about to expire, but I hope Scar never and he's the impossible quite to the possess his acorn, whatever in either format or the justy in my imaginations. Collision Scores was a fairy movie that's the entirety of the review in the brief, an animated comedy. Great manly towards kids, it definitely has its the goofy moments which can make you laugh, such as when Sir the Sloth cries over the death of his malicious granny, but I like more screen productions made for the juvenile audience these days. The last installment of the Ice Age saga contains some rather mature them contact to the associations of the comic relief in teens and adult. As in Ice Age 10 of the Dinosaurs 2009, Collision Scores features some sexual innovations. You might not want your kids repeating some of the crass comments the cute, fury creatures make. Part of me is glad that this movie was made since I was pretty and at the end of the previous film, thinking it was the final chapter in the Ice Age story, like in most of the past movie plots. The heart is trying to survive another nature. Part of me is glad that this movie was made since I was pretty sad at the end of the previous film, thinking it was the final chapter in the Ice Age story. Like in most of the past movie plot, the head is trying to survive another natural disaster such as being hunted by the humans' global warming shifting technique plate, all of which we cast by the craft, trying to stick that the acorn somewhere. For sake keeping inclusion scores, the original Try and their family are trying to escape the seemingly inevitable dome of a huge matter plummeting into the psychotic earth. The original voice cast returned with the Ray Roman as Manny, Dinals, Larry as the Deco, and the John Aside, it was great to see that Sid finally got a girl like the Manny and the Deco. I also loved the return of the hilariously mentally impaired weasel bug who was a man cracked in Den of the Dinosaurs and who made a short appearance in Ice Age Conventional Draft 2012 in once again voiced by the Cement Pig. I noticed that the Jennifer Lopez characters Shiraz had very few lines from this movie. That was disappointment. She was a much more major character in the conventional draft in which Shira was introduced. Lopez play another moderately minor voice role in the animated DreamWorks film Home 2015, the year before Collision Scores. Probably what I thought was the funniest aspect of the Collision Scores was the acting of award-winning astrophysics as Neil Deepak, Weasels and the imagination individuals inside Bug Mind who directed science-related things. Collision Scores can be pretty funny for people of most age group. Ice Age Collision Course, an animated adventure film, is the fifth installment of the Ice Age movie series. The film begins as the Secret attempts to chase an acorn. The discovery he is eventually captures outside Earth, where he unintentionally set in the motions a dangerous series of the events that here to destroy the entry plant. There is an astronaut capturing towards Earth, and the Earth of the team friends included Manny, Ray, Roman, Ali, Queen Latifah, Sid, John Leguizamo, Dinis Lantry and Buck, Simon Pink are forced to focus fighter out how to stop it. But the Buck ultimately comes up with a plan that involves journeying to the valley where the meteors have been landing and creating a magnetic space that may potentially divert the impending asteroid. In addition to the central plot, the movie involves individual subplots related to survival of the main character's optimistic side is still on a quest to find his one true love, while Manny is a pretend struggling with his daughter growing up and getting married. Potential world destination space and the astronomy, adventure and the explorating friendship and relationship, use of violence, none of connection, material that may source of the distributed children under 5 survival characters are slightly injured when the meteors land near them. They appear to be zipped by the electricity when they touch the disappear, which causes their four to stand up on the end before they fly away into the distance. One character is exposed to radiation which causes his skin to peel back and show his lectins. This is the present in a highly comedian minor. However, survival characters are focused to run inside a cave in order to escape from a very hot lava-covered boulders which is the rolling towards them. Age 5 to 8, younger children in this age group may also be scarred by the above mentioned scenes. Production placement: nothing noted in the movie but the plenty of the associated merchandise being marketed to the children. There are references to online dating in regards to a female character telling a male that he looks nothing like his profile picture. In these scenes, the male characters insist to propose, however, the female suggests the two of them break up. Ice Age Glaciation Scores. The fifth film in the Ice Age series is a slight high-level family film that centers on an unlikely group of the individuals tasked with the saving the world. It is likely to be popular with fans of the previous film and to attract some new young viewers. Parental guidance is the recognized for the children under 6 due to some scary scenes and themes. With the impending disaster in the form of an asteroid rocketing towards Earth, the movie plot highlights the importance of being able to work together as a team in order to achieve common goals. It centers on the sportive nature of the friendship and can be relied upon during time of stress and the circle. The movie also presents the character as individual who do not always take life or themselves too seriously, deposit faking danger and life threatening events.